Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
I want to start by thanking each one of the honorable members who have taken the floor, who have taken the trouble to study the bill, to comment on different aspects of our civil aviation system, safety issues, regulatory issues, Vande Bharat, Lifeline Udan, and a host of other issues. I'm deeply grateful to them. Sir, I am acutely conscious of the time limit you're giving me. But the discussion has been so rich, I'm going to try to respond to each of the points made by the honorable members. And if this chair so instructs, I am not able to complete that exercise, I will personally write to each member to place on record the factual position, because whilst I am heartened by the level of interest, I must say I am in several respects disappointed by the fact that the actual position obtaining today perhaps has been lost sight of in what invariably turns into a political discussion. But let me start by the Honorable Shri K.C. Venugopalji. He talked of several issues, privatization, to which I'll come to in a minute. He mentioned shortages of air traffic controllers. He talked about the number of air misses. Let me just say that on the issue of air traffic controllers, he was perhaps not aware of the fact that we have in the last 3 years recruited 1,000 air traffic controllers, and as against the required number of 3,500, we are very close to that number, and we would have reached that number, even surpassed it, if it had not been for the fact that the recruitment processes suffered some slowing down on account of the COVID pandemic. I think he spent a lot of time on the air misses. I'll be answering another honorable member, so I will cover that part of his questions there. On privatization, I would recommend to the honorable member to look at the issue of privatization in a historical context. The fact that two of our major airports were successfully privatized in the year 2006 under a previous political dispensation, and both those privatization processes actually have resulted in our being able to get the resources to develop the rest of the airport infrastructure in the country. In fact, when Shri Vivek Tankhaji mentioned the Civil Aviation Ministry's budget, I was trying to restrain myself, but I need to point out, because of the privatization of the Mumbai and Delhi airports, since the time of privatization in 2006, the Airports Authority has received a whopping 29,000 crores, and that money has been utilized in order to develop the airport infrastructure in other parts of the country. A lot is being made out about 6 airports, and so let me remind this House through you, sir, that Mumbai and Delhi, two privatized airports, privatized in the year 2006, account for 33% of our traffic and our earnings. These 6 airports, which were awarded in 2018, much before I became a civil aviation minister, together account for only 9%. I repeat, sir, 9%. Now, to talk in terms of 6 airports being given to one entity, let me just place this in perspective. When these 2 airports, Delhi and Mumbai, were privatized in 2006, all subsequent efforts at privatization contained a stipulation to the effect that prior experience was necessary. So we fell into a trap of our own making, and not by this government. And I don't want to make this a political point, that unless you had previous experience, which means unless you had done either Delhi or Mumbai, you could not participate in the process, which in effect meant that for 15 years, no competitive open bidding could take place. What happened when we did these 6 airport privatization biddings in November 2018? Bidders from all over the world came. If one entity got the 6 bids,
Please.
can I complete this? I didn't interrupt you.
Let him complete.
Yes, so
Let
no.
him complete. No, please. Nothing will go on record. Please, Honorable Praful Patel.
Hello, Mr.
Let him speak, then you can.
Now,
No, please.
now,
He's not yielding. He's not
I have
yielding.
not yet completed. I may say something that you might agree with.
He's not yielding. Please.
Yeah, can I?
All I tried to say is, in 2006, there was no prior experience. There was no.
I am talking about
Please,
the period.
please.
2004, bidding, before even our government came, Hyderabad and Bangalore bidding had been completed under the same parameters of the 2006 bidding which you are talking of Mumbai and Delhi.
Mr.
Thank you,
Honorable
Honorable
Deputy
No,
Chairman,
please,
sir.
please, no.
Honorable
Thank
Deputy
you,
Chairman,
please.
sir,
Please.
I would like to
Please.
take the answer each point, and I think if there is any residual issues, I'd be happily meet the honorable member and.
No, please.
Can I complete this?
You please speak to address the chair.
Let me explain. In fact, when the bids for these 6 airports were received, they were all in closed listing. When we went in for the bidding for Jewar Airport, this is interesting, neither the 2 successful bidders of 2006, those who had won Mumbai and Delhi, nor the entity which won these 6 could bid, because this process has been opened out and an entirely new entity came in. So I'm making the limited point that we are progressing from limited number of players, expanding, gaining by that experience, and then opening it out to global entities, which is what the experience of Jewar was. Now we come to the issue of privatization of one particular airport, which is generating a lot of excitement and heat, and perhaps not as much as I anticipated in the House today. This is the privatization of one particular airport in the state of Kerala. Kerala, sir, has an experience of 2 privatized airports. Now I submit to you that when the process of privatization of the 6 entities took place in 2018, there was a discussion. The Honorable Mr. Venugopal tried to quote from some minutes, but I'll give you the facts which I put down in a letter to the Honorable Chief Minister of Kerala. The situation is simple, straightforward. There was a discussion between the government of the state of Kerala and the Niti Aayog and the empowered group of secretaries. The government of Kerala requested that they would participate in the bidding exercise, provided they could obtain what is called an ROFR, right of first refusal. That is, if their bid came to within 10% of the ROFR, then the bidding would go in their favor. Sir, when the sealed bids were opened, the gap between the highest bidder and the state of Kerala was not 10%, it was 19.3%. Having said this, these are the facts on the table. Now anything to be said thereafter. Now that particular entity to whom something that entity is running a successful port or is constructing a successful port from within a proximate distance of where this airport is. Now I don't wish to go into greater detail. Now let me complete.
Please, Venugopal ji, कृपया बैठ करना बोले. Please, nothing will go on record. Please, Honorable Minister, you address the chair.
I would now come to issues, three issues which I think.
There is a process of that. No, please.
Three issues which are
Please.
central to this discussion.
You are not allowed to speak. Please.
Let me come back to some very important issues raised by the Honorable Shri Prasanna Acharya ji. He talked about what he described as a dismal safety record of Indian civil aviation. I would submit with due humility to the honorable member that he acquaint himself with what happened. The audit reports, which are the reason why we are bringing these amendments in, relate to the period 2012 and 2015. Some of the other issues, safety, come in subsequent reports. But the fact is, and this alone should lay all doubts to rest, is that the DGCA, the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, was awarded the ICAO President's Award in 2019 for achieving effective implementation of 72% over the earlier period, and was again, as my distinguished colleague Dungarpurji mentioned, placed in category 1. Now we were being compared, and I find this astonishing, we were being compared as having a worse safety record against some countries like in our neighborhood who are actually in category 2. But I don't know, it gives some members great satisfaction to run ourselves down, compare us with another country which is in category 2, whilst we are in category 1. Let me also add, the European Safety Agency has placed India in category 1 state. Similarly, there are other, like the US regulator, have similarly placed India in category 1 status. So let there be no doubt, this government will not compromise on issues of safety. After the Modi government has come in, after 2014, we have looked at safety, and I can give you some more statistics which should bear this out. I have a list here of scheduled aircraft accidents per million flights. And in 2014, when the Modi government came in, the world average of accidents per million flights was 3.06, when the Indian was 2.8. In 2019, the global figure is 3.02, the Indian is 0.82. This figure alone should lay to rest any doubt on this issue of air safety and accidents. The Honorable Chairman, sir, when he invited me to speak, asked me to reflect on the issue of international civil aviation. And he wanted me to discuss this with my colleague and friend, the External Affairs Minister. I want to assure this House that apart from domestic civil aviation, which I have said will resume to pre-COVID levels by the end of this calendar year, Lifeline Udan, which has carried 1,000 tons of essential medical supplies within the country and brought in 1,500 tons from outside, sent 30 tons outside. We have succeeded through the Vande Bharat mission, and if I may seek your indulgence, when Jaishankarji first asked me that we needed to bring back stranded Indians from different parts of the world, I asked how many, what numbers there would be, what kind of aircraft mobilization in terms of platforms, how many will we need, and he mentioned a figure of 1.9 lakhs. And he mentioned this figure, sir, because those were the number of Indian citizens who had registered with Indian missions and posts in the Gulf and other countries. So I say with a great degree of satisfaction and humility that the total number of passengers, Indian citizens stranded abroad who have been brought back is close to 1.6 million, 16 lakhs, and about 300,000 to 400,000 have been carried out. This is the largest, most comprehensive process of evacuation and repatriation of Indian citizens or of citizens of any country at any time in history. And I think some of the suggestions which were being made here about Air India fares deserve to be contested, and I place the facts before you. Our pilots, our air crew, our ground people were in the front line. They brought back people from Wuhan, they brought back people from other COVID-infested places. And when they carried out these flights, I made it very clear right in the beginning that an air operation like this cannot be carried out through donations or the Gurdwara Langar Society. That has to be paid, and the amount we charged was the lowest ever. The highest amount of one-way ticket during the process was India to the United States and Canada, 1 lakh rupees, when competing airlines were charging 3 times the amount. From Dubai, Air India was charging 13,000 rupees when other
Please
carriers were
conclude
charging 2.5
because I have to.
times.
We have to get this bill passed by 12. Please. Please.
Sir,
No
in
question,
which
please.
case I'll conclude with just give me a minute or two, sir, before I can.
But just 1 minute
All
because
right,
I have
1
to
minute.
get.
And what is important, it is when you have pent-up demand, when entire country and civil aviation is locked down, and since 23rd March, yes, when suddenly on the first day when we opened the Western sector, we got not 6 million, we got 36 million hits. Obviously the site will crash, but there were no agents. This was being done directly. And it's despite the attempt of many of my friends to malign this process, we have looked into it. They have acquitted themselves creditably. And privatization of Air India, if I could help it, we would keep it. But with a 60,000 crore on debt, the choice is not between privatization and not privatization. Some of my colleagues should realize the choice is between privatization and closing down. But we are confident that the airline in running way, doing extremely well, will be given to its new owner in order for Air India and that flag to be kept flying. Thank you very much. I
Thank
commend
you.
the bill for passing, sir.